Welcome, Bubble Boys and Girls, to the highly curated virtual safe space known as the Nerdstravaganza Podcast, where personal conduct bubbles are never required. I'm Tom.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Cam.
Brian, I love the kind of resigned disgust in your voice. And tonight we'll be discussing offensive behavior in virtual reality, which is apparently already a thing. Didn't take long.
It's been out like a week, guys.
And I was just making sure our audio was good. Sorry for that interruption, folks. But first, we'll remind you, listeners, that we would be deeply offended and actually cocoon you in an isolation bubble if you were to fail to listen to us weekly on iTunes and give us your favorable reviews and ratings. We live or die by those reviews or ratings. I'll leave it at that. And with that said, let's not leave things where they are. Let's step back in time through the power of our virtual reality time machine. I don't know. And discuss the happenings in our lives with our weekly geekly weekly update. And I guess I'll go first because I'm always making either Cam or Brian go first. And my update is pretty straightforward. I figured out what happens when you break a phone and then you try to file an insurance claim. Have either of you guys ever done that?
Literally just did it like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You told me. So did you have to get a notarized affidavit for yours, Cam?
No, not at all. I just called them and told them, and they were happy to take my money. I mean, it was like $130.
It was like a deductible?
Yeah, it was like $100-something deductible, and then they sent me a new phone, and then that phone broke within 3 hours of me like updating it.
Oh, what?
So then they had to send me another phone, and then I ended up just saying screw it and sending back the broken phone, but then keeping my phone, sending back the first phone that they sent me, the one that died in 3 hours, and then keeping the new phone in shrink because I was just basically waiting for my iPhone 7 to come so that I could trade that phone in for my iPhone 7, the new phone. So I just kept using my originally broken phone for like a week until I got my iPhone 7, and then I sent back the originally broken phone in exchange for the new phone that was still in shrink, and I took that phone to AT&T, and all was well in the world.
Okay, so they send you the new phone first before you send back the old one, typically, or at least that's in your experience?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, they sent it to me within I had it within two days.
Okay. Okay, cool. I hope it's quick for me too. Yeah. This fits Nerdstravaganza because it's gadget related, I figure. But yeah, I was most disheartened to break my Galaxy S7 Edge, and then to hear my companion remind me that I really should get a case for it, which she's been saying since I got it. So I'm undergoing the exchange process now. Yeah, and I had to go to my bank and get this affidavit notarized, show it. I had presented my ID and all this rigmarole. So hopefully that goes off without a hitch. Apart from that, on the gadget front, and I suspect this may be a news item as well, but I am pretty much due for a hardware refresh at this point. And while I would like to build a rig, I'm not really sure I have the room for it. I'm really more in the market for something compact and all-in-one right now. So thinking about either the new iMac, whenever that is revealed, probably tomorrow, or the awesome Surface Studio, which probably is not something I really need, but it's kind of the Microsoft's answer to the iMac. And both are really big expenses I probably could do without, but they look cool. And my laptop's dying, my desktop's chugging. There's only one solution.
Yeah. Well, I love my Surface. So if it's anything like the Surface, if it's the Surface but better, then I say go with the Microsoft.
I suspect it is, but maybe we could discuss that more if it were to come up, hint, hint, in the news extravaganza.
Yes.
I don't want to take up too much with my weekly geekly. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I have been super busy with work, really long days, and not a lot of time for gaming. Just watching some TV, watched the new Walking Dead season premiere, which was really good. I don't know if you guys watched that at all.
I do not watch Walking Dead.
Oh, you
Nope.
should. You should. My companion had to excuse herself to the bathroom to get sick.
No.
It was that like gory and like disturbing.
Tom, we need to talk.
Yeah. I watched one episode. I watched the first episode of that, and I was like, meh. I'll binge it on Netflix one of these days. But
So far, so good this season. And I don't know. Yeah, probably a binge-worthy show. But that's it for me. That's all I got. Kind of an interesting week to say the least. So, Cam, why don't you go next?
sure. Did some gaming at the Adventure Game Store. There's a place here in South Florida called the Extreme Action Park. Have you guys driven by that before?
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
So I went there. It was a buddy's birthday. Played some games, hung out, and then they have this. It's like a mini, like sort of Halloween Horror Nights type thing, where you basically go through these haunted houses that they have set up there. That place is freaking huge.
Yeah, it is.
It is like massive, and they had these 3 different haunted houses set up. So we did that. Basically, it was for my buddy's birthday. So we did that, and that was cool. And then basically been getting ready for my annual Halloween spooktacular. As you guys know, I do a Halloween party every year, and this one is coming up on this coming Saturday. So I've just been doing all kinds of decorating around the house and getting stuff ready and shopping and putting together the food, and I'm making a lot of Halloween themed food items. So for everyone to come and enjoy. So I think it's going to be a good time, and I hope you guys can make it.
Oh yeah, I am invited, and I'm told I can actually show up and not be shown the door. So
Nice.
I don't know if I read on the invitation. Is there a dress up requirement for that? Or
there is no requirement. No.
Okay.
It is encouraged, but you're not going to be barred at the door.
I mean, I'll wear like long pants and maybe a shirt with a button somewhere.
For no reason whatsoever, I'm going to be dressed as a 1930s gangster.
Oh, hey, recycle.
Oh yeah, did you have like a full on theme last year?
No. Earlier this year.
Oh, that's right.
Murder mystery.
The murder mystery thing. That's right.
Which was gangster themed. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just going to be a Jedi, and my companion's going to be Rey. So.
Sweet. What should I bring, by the way, Cam? Like, let's discuss this on the air for our audience. What should I bring?
Whatever you want, man. I remember that stuff Abby brought last time was pretty awesome. That baked goodness or whatever was pretty.
Oh
awesome.
Yeah, the dessert, as it has become known. I could make a special Halloween version of that.
Whatever you like, man. Bring whatever you want, or nothing at all. Just yourself is all that's required.
I'll bring myself and possibly something. Awesome.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, so that was it. Basically, just getting the house ready, and hopefully it'll be lots of fun. We've got like 30 or 35 people like RSVP'd yes already. So
whoa,
and like 15 maybes. So should be a packed house. Should be fun. Lots of good food. Lots of good friends. Do some gaming. Should be a good time.
Lots of good food. Lots of good friends. Plus Brian and I.
It'll be good. It'll be a good time.
Cool, man. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, Brian, over to you to round out the updates.
Again, I'll go with something I didn't actually do, but something that deeply affected my life this week. You guys may have heard, Tom. You may have picked up on this. Jack Chick died.
Oh no, the Chick Tracks guy?
Yeah.
Wow. Did he like immediately just ascend to heaven or burst into flames?
They're actually like really hush-hush. They announced like, he's gone, but they didn't say how or when or how, anything like that. So people want to believe he was found in bed with a hooker or something like that. I have no idea. He probably just passed peacefully in his sleep and they don't want the publicity or something. But I don't know what it is. I can hardly go like a month without someone handing me chick literature. I guess I just look like a sinner. I don't know.
Man, I personally blame that guy for contributing to the anti-D&D hysteria in the 80s that caused my stuff to get seized by the fundamentalist neighbor lady.
It's very real. That's very real.
To be burned. To be burned. Ugh, disgusting. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I really feel like this weird part of my life is gone now. Like, I'll never see a new chick track. It's all downhill from here, man.
Something tells me his, what would they be? Disciples? The people carrying forward his message will keep pumping out high quality propaganda.
The Chicycles.
Yes. Yeah, the Chicycles.
The Chicycles.
Oh my gosh. There are so many good ones. They're good because they're so bad. Like his prejudice is so evident in them. Did you ever read, Cam, have you read those at all?
No.
Some real classics. There's Dark Dungeon, which is all about how D&D is actually just a recruitment tool to get you into witchcraft and Satan worship. That one's awesome. There's Doom City, which is about basically some reporters covering like a gay rights rally in the 1980s when the tract was made, and basically he proceeds to like compare San Francisco of that time to Sodom and Gomorrah, replete with really offensive like gay stereotypes like everywhere. And then let's see, another really good one. Oh man. There's too many to count, but they're all awesome. There's one where because a kid's parents encourage him to believe in the Tooth Fairy, he then believes he's a god and goes on to become a serial murderer. Like, just amazing stuff. Amazing.
There are certainly more popular, hateful people, but I find it hard to believe anyone had more hate in their heart than this guy.
Yeah.
And I'm not happy for anyone's passing, but can't imagine a nicer guy to happen to.
Yeah. So, Brian, I mean, if you believe in a heaven or hell, where do you think he ended up?
Oh no, I just don't think that. I mean, any deity in the pantheon wants like hateful monsters. I cannot imagine, and I'm not. I was joking about the hooker. I don't think he like molested anybody or anything like that. But I cannot imagine anyone who's affected more children poorly.
Yeah. Agreed.
Like just traumatized them. And seriously, I don't think there was anyone he didn't hate. There were like anti-black comics, there were anti-Jew comics, there were anti-gay comics. I mean, he did everything.
There was a panel in one where basically somebody was explaining to some proselytizer was explaining to a kid that the world is full of people that are against the Christian message, as Jack Chick understood it. And it was a panel, and it basically showed it showed like some frowning atheist, a frowning archaeologist, like complete with the archaeologist's hat, like pointing and sneering while holding a dinosaur bone up. It showed the stereotypical like Muslim, of course, with the curved sword and like a turban. It was. What are the other? I think I showed a Catholic. He hated Catholics too. They were definitely there were issues with them. Like, but basically, it was a rogues gallery of people that didn't conform to this guy's point of view. Oh man,
and it was basically everybody but him.
Right. Yeah.
Jesus Christ,
Absurd, man.
Little white nerd in the middle of suburbia. You're evil.
Yeah, you're evil because you play
along with anybody, guy. I mean,
you play D&D. Yeah. Oh man, Kev, we've got it. We'll send you some choice ones. We'll send you some links to some of the.
I actually have some laying around. I'm totally serious. They drop them off all the time. I'm on a list.
The narrated ones on YouTube are also excellent. I might send you some links to those. Like, they do some great voice acting with them, and it makes them even more absurd.
Nice.
Anyway, wherever you ended up, Jack, hopefully it's where you deserve to be.
And speaking of hatred, I voted early, and sure. I mean, we're doomed no matter what. So, God, people in line were quite interesting.
Really?
And Yeah, yeah. I guess somebody had gotten robbed the night before, and he was screaming about how he wanted like a police state so he could watch them steal it on a video and like shoot them afterwards. And I mean, Jesus,
That makes sense.
Yikes! That's
I'm not joking. Some guy in like one of those huge like monster trucks like roared up, almost ran over some poor black lady twice in the parking lot, and like got in the little, I mean, I guess he's not security, but like the volunteer's face. You people are parking in my lawn. I'm gonna call the police.
Oh my god.
They're voting. You can't like spare your lawn for 10 minutes. No.
depends who they're voting for. Hint, hint. Make America great again. Huh? What do you think of that slogan? Well, yeah. Okay, sure.
One thing he was missing was truck nuts.
Look, well, those got stolen by some Hispanic.
Yeah.
But the moral of my story is it was actually at a library, of course. So I thought, just like, what the hell? I'm here. I stopped in, got my library card, signed up for Overdrive. And I actually already am like halfway through my first book. This, you guys ever play The Witcher?
Yeah.
There were, I guess, books first. And this is like Geralt's first appearance. So I've been meaning to like buy that book forever, but I never buy new books. It's more fun to like search for them in used bookstores, and I just can't find that one. So now I'm reading it on my phone, which I'm still not happy about.
Didn't Vin Diesel make a movie, like a Witcher movie?
He made a Last Witch Hunter movie, I think. Not actually this kind of Witcher, but yeah, same title.
I'm going to. Well, I actually need to. I need to. One, I like the idea of patronizing the library system because I believe in it as an institution for some reason. And two, that just sounds cool. Like you actually just get to like rent out books.
So, God help me, I went with my mother to vote, and she was like, "What are you doing? I'll do it too." So I had to like walk her through the steps. And there's books that you can just download. Basically, it'll ask you what format you want it in, and then you can actually view them in your Kindle. Like you don't even have to use their software or anything like that. And they have a hold system. So The Last Wish wasn't available when I got it. And I guess like a day or two later, they just sent me an email. Hey, you downloaded it already. Log in and read it. You've got 21 days left. And I don't know. It is the really portable library. It is everything the library offers anywhere you want, and super convenient. And I think you can check out 50 books at a time or something like that. It's ridiculous. 50 items at a time. And I was looking, they do actually have like a shit ton of comic books and like magazines and everything.
You can get movies, you can get and the TV shows, everything. There's like a ton of stuff.
That's really awesome, actually.
Yeah. I can't say enough good stuff about Overdrive. Overdrive is awesome. Like, the app is super user friendly. Like it's awesome.
It's kind of weird being, not being in a library, but like dealing with the library again, because like honestly, I kind of forgot how cool it was. Like, I was 20s, I got a job, and I was like all into buying things instead and everything. But when I was a kid, man, I was at the library like 5-6 times a week.
Yeah, I was there all the time too.
And damn, man, if you read, like, you'd be crazy not to do this.
All right, I'm doing it. I'm patronizing the library system, and I'm doing this like this week. This is gonna happen. I'm in.
It literally takes like 5 minutes now. You just go get your library card, and that's it, and then just download the app.
Would it work with? You think it'll work with a Nook too? You think, or just a Kindle, or no telling? You guys don't know off the top of your head.
I don't have a Nook.
Well, it asks you. I mean, a Nooks.mobi.
Dot something or other. Hell, I don't know. I'll find out.
.mobi is one of the download options.
Okay, I could consult the internet on that. Sweet.
But it also has like you can just download it like as a like not a real browser, but in Overdrive's browser and read it right there.
Man, so you walked away from the polling place having voted that you downloaded Donald Trump's The Art of the Deal right away.
Right away. I want to be prepared.
I've actually read that book.
Have you? Is it good? Does he offer good advice?
It's actually decent. It's actually decent. Yeah.
So who wrote it? I mean, it couldn't.
It was ghostwritten, wasn't it? Like everybody knows that. Like,
what's that?
It was ghostwritten.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
Otherwise, it'd be like, you got to make terrific deals, the best deals, the best deals. Chapter 4, the best deals.
They got to be huge.
He hired the
huge
book. I mean,
terrific.
Yeah, I hired the best writers to write my book.
That's right. I surrounded myself with the best writers. Oh gosh. Anything else, Brian?
No.
I also did my civic duty and voted today. I forgot to mention. And yeah,
Kudos.
I voted at the mall. I mean, actually, of all places, they have this huge.
No truck nuts there.
There were some nuts, but no trucks involved. Okay. So a guy who I think was just like a poll worker, and he had like a little placard on, like, any questions, and he was like super friendly. Walked up as we were leaving. He's like, "Hey, how'd you guys do? Was no problem voting? Everything quick and easy?" I was like, "Yeah, everything was like cool." This is like as we're walking out, and he's like, "Cool." I'm like, "And we made all the right choices." He's like, "Yeah, whatever they were good." And I was like, "Oh, what a nice guy." But my companion is wondering if he wasn't somebody deployed by one of the campaigns to, like, monitor the election on behalf of the campaign. Have you heard of this? Like,
that's a little paranoid, don't you think? I mean,
well,
one thing if he asked you, like, who you voted for, if he had any problems, like choosing.
Yeah, I'm not sure those folks are going to be nice about it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, one of the candidates, I won't say which, has said that he or she will be deploying kind of like these monitors to make sure that the election is not rigged. Again, I won't say who it was, but yeah, I just thought it was a funny way to look at it. But this guy was really cool, so I doubt it.
Well, it's funny. Like, I mean, obviously Facebook is just full of all these people putting photos of themselves voting, and I've seen a couple where, like, they have the touch screen and, like, you push one and it, like, selects the other candidate.
Oh, what?
Like, I've seen a couple like pretty squirrely. I mean, I don't think it was on purpose. It's probably just shitty technology, but, like, it's definitely like, whoa, that's not good. If you weren't paying attention, you would have, like, totally checked the wrong person.
Yeah, that's all right. We went back to the Scantron sheets in Florida. We knew that stuff couldn't be trusted anymore.
Scantron.
Yeah, man.
I'm actually very happy with that. Like, they printed it out right in front of me.
Yep.
Bubble it in, no problems, nothing to punch through,
Yeah,
I mean, who knows if they'll count it? Thing was probably a shredder, but
very likely. Cam, if you ever try voting someday, it's actually cool. They just scan your license and then they print out your ballot for your precinct and everything. It's really, really awesome.
I'm really surprised. My mom was right behind me, and he was like, "Can I get your license?" And I was like, "Whatever." My mom was like, "No, here's my voter's registration card. You don't get my license."
Well, they have to.
Okay, lady, I'll punch it in.
Well, because we don't have a requirement that you show such an ID.
Good for your mom. That's awesome. I like that.
It's good that she set up. Yeah. I mean, they sent me that card, and it's for a reason.
Yeah, I'm just taking up space in my wallet for nothing, right?
Yeah, every time I go, they're like, "Just let me see your license." Okay.
That's
I guess it makes it more convenient for them, but you're right. Fuck that. I mean, voting's not supposed to be convenient.
Well, it's not.
For them anyway, right?
Yeah. Right.
They're getting paid to sit there.
Anyway, voting early just makes a lot of sense. You avoid the crush on election day, and you
and half the violence.
Yeah. And you can act all smug and superior with my "I voted early" sticker.
Yeah, that's the worst.
Anything else, Brian?
No.
All right, I'm gonna actually share. I'm gonna attempt to use the screen sharing feature of this Google Hangouts thing we're doing to share with you, Cam, the thing I was talking about, because I found an image of it. Here it is. Start screen share. Let's see if this comes up. There we go.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So you see, we've got. So I forgot the communist Chinese guy. I don't know what this thing is in the middle, like a biker or some kind of just a Satanist, random.
That's Anton LaVey, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know. A witch, like a full-on like Halloween witch in the lower left corner. Because they're definitely they're evil. They're God haters. And as I mentioned, the paleontologist with the boat, and yeah, that lady with the no prayers lady. I guess she's just an atheist.
Atheist, and then a Darwinist, I guess, would be the guy on the right, on the bottom right.
Yeah, he's a Darwinist because it's true that most atheists go around with a no prayer sign, and all of them have a snarl, and most paleontologists are waving bones in your face, telling you how stupid
like chicken.
Yeah.
And I feel like the picture, like of the with the guy with the curved dagger or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to be like racist or anything, but it looks more Jewish than like Muslim to me.
I think the writers of this, being kind of like of a fundamentalist like pseudo evangelical bent, they need to defer to Israel. Like they need Israel to be founded for their prophecies to come true. So they're kind of like okay with the Jews, but not really.
Yeah.
So this way he folded them all in. They just got like this guy who, yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. They probably hate They probably hate Jews too. So they probably were just like, oh, let's just make a cross between the two.
We'll make a composite.
It's a Jewslim.
Yeah, that's the Jewslim. I found the glasses odd. Like normally you don't.
Yeah, that is odd actually. I've never seen a jihadist with glasses.
It doesn't like it's not terrifying. Definitely an atheist or a paleontologist with glasses.
Yeah, it makes sense there. But.
The sunglasses make sense on the Satanist, but yeah, I don't know. And also the Halloween witch.
I'm like they missed a chance to put like the wart on the nose. Like that would have
right. I just feel like they could have done better. And this is from the 80s, but the communist Chinese guy, that's really dated now. Like not everybody over there wears a uniform anymore.
Well, I mean, I guess you could switch it over to like North Korea, right? Like,
oh yeah, that's true.
I mean, if we're just overgeneralizing like stereotypes, right? It's just interchangeable Asian.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, he's your stereotypical, communist Asian. You know how they are.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that's hilarious.
Yeah, there it is. There is the. I hope our audience saw that. There was an option to present to everyone. I don't know what that means. I'm going to try that, see what that does. Oh, okay. So audience, if you weren't seeing that while we were discussing it, here is a really offensive excerpt from a chick tract from the 80s showing you basically everybody that Jack Chick doesn't like. You're probably in here somewhere, whether you be a Jewslim, bald atheist, or a bald Satanist, what have you.
Hey, kid, you like comic books, huh? Yeah, I do. Read this one. You're gonna hell.
What's crazy is that guy was probably like a multi-millionaire.
I'm sure he did very well for himself indeed. And humanity. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for the updates. That's it for our Jack Chick farewell. What was that? What was it? An homage to him? What was that we just did?
That was a big feud to him.
Kicking dirt on the grave, basically.
Yeah, that was our tribute to Chick. And with that done, I think it's time for our tribute to the goings on in the world with our news extravaganza with Cam.
All right, lots of news. Speaking of Overdrive and the library, we're set to get a new Tolkien book in 2017. Brian, I'm sure you'll be happy about that. There is, I guess they've been producing like some of his old poems and like all the stuff that's that they've had, but haven't released because he's I guess had an explosion of popularity over the last 10, 20 years. They've been coming out with all this other like sort of lesser known works that people haven't really been out. So this book apparently is going to be following. It's a love story between two characters called Baron and Luthien.
Oh yeah, those are the people who stole the crowns, the Silmarils from the crown of Morgoth.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. And so they are going to be basically just having like a sort of like a Aragorn and Arwen sort of like love romance sort of story.
Okay.
So that is going to be out, I think, middle-ish of next year. So look for that on Overdrive. That'll be awesome. I'm pretty excited about it.
Put on a hold now.
Yeah, right. I know. So you guys, ever since I sort of tried to get semi-fit several years ago, I haven't been to a fast food restaurant in the past 2 or 3 years. But, KFC was definitely one of my favorites. And Pizza Hut was definitely one of my favorites. So now they're going to combine the two with the Chizza, the Chiza. So it is exactly what you think it is. It is a flat piece of fried chicken with pizza toppings on it. So they did away with the bread, which was like the only semi non-caloric thing in it, or low caloric thing in it. And they said, you know what? We don't need bread. We're just going to make a flat piece of fried chicken and make it into a Chiza. So look for that in the next couple weeks. And buy shares of Lipitor now. I would advise. We were talking about the new Microsoft Surface Studio that was just shown to be just unveiled. Basically, it looks amazing. Comes in at the low price of $2,999 for the base model, and for all the bells and whistles, you can get one for $4,200. I would actually probably be considering getting one if I didn't just buy the Surface last year. Or did I buy it this year or last year? I can't remember. I bought it pretty recently, so won't be getting one anytime soon. But if you do get one, Tom, I want to play with it and see how it goes.
Hell yeah, man!
I mean, it looks awesome. It's huge, and then like that dial thing. I don't know how it would help me, but like I just want to use it.
It's I actually the dial thing. There's a museum in Seattle called the EMP Museum, and they had, back when Avatar was like super hot, they had a display all about Avatar, and you would basically use these things. They're kind of like basically just what they look like, a giant like hockey puck kind of thing, and you'd place them on the screen, and depending on what you were viewing on the screen, like what portion of the presentation you're reviewing, these menus would shoot out from them, and then you could tap them to open things, right? So they were kind of like data, they're presented as like data modules, but I'm assuming they were an early version of this gadget. But basically, once the screen detects it performs a function. Does that make sense?
Yep, totally makes sense.
And
awesome.
It's really cool. That's really exciting, actually.
Looks pretty awesome. I wonder if it would work on like my Surface.
I would think I don't know if the screen needs like to, well, I have no idea. Obviously your finger like is picked up because of, what is it, impedance or whatever.
Yeah.
So presumably this gadget could be. I don't know. I would hope so.
I mean, the pen, it's the same pen, so I would wonder if, you know what I mean? Like, I wonder if
maybe just do an update or something. They could get all the Surfaces to use that. That'd be cool.
That would be cool. So I've got a couple Disney related stories.
Nice.
Twice in one day, 2 people were busted trying to bring guns into Disney. One at Animal Kingdom and one, I think, at Magic Kingdom. 2 unrelated. I think they were pretty unrelated. One chick was like, she had it in her backpack. She had a little 380 pistol, and the checker saw it, and then she got charged with carrying a concealed weapon because her concealed weapons permit, I guess, expired. And then some other just random dude got selected for you go in, basically usually just walk in, but sometimes they just choose you for like a random metal detector screening, and he got busted. So they got arrested. I only bring that story up, A, because we love Disney, but B, because I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Like, not being able to bring if you had a valid concealed weapons permit, would you be okay with someone like bringing a gun into Disney?
No.
Me, yes.
Like you as yourself, or like you would be okay with someone else bringing it in?
No. I mean, I would be okay with someone else, someone who is licensed, someone who is got a permit, like carrying, because I don't think. I mean, bad things can happen at Disney. Like,
that's what I was thinking. Like, I mean, I feel like that is probably like a pretty big target if there are those Jerusalem out there that are trying to destroy, that are trying to attack America. Like, I feel like Disney is a pretty big target on their list. I mean, it's a ton of tourists all packed together in a relatively, I mean, it's not that small. I mean, it's a huge property, but like you could probably, you know, do some damage if you, you know, did something there. So I would think that, you know, I'd want to have someone, you know, or myself, you know, I do have a concealed weapons permit. I'd want to be able to protect myself if something went down there. You know what I mean? Because I know those kids fucking sweeping popcorn off the floor are not going to do anything for me.
And they should not, you know. I mean, I'm sure Disney
right.
has security, but most people are not trained or knowledgeable or anything. And I mean, if you want to take it upon yourself to be, I mean, I get it's private property and you have to obey their rules.
Yeah.
So if they say no, like you're not welcome to. All right, but I mean, I don't think they should say no. I mean,
because it's not technically against the law. Like if these people would have had valid concealed weapons licenses, they wouldn't have been arrested for that. The article
would have been escorted out, right? Like that's
they would have been, yeah, they would have been escorted out and possibly charged with trespassing. I think Disney is able to get away with that by posting signs that if you're caught on their property with a weapon, you'll be charged with trespassing.
Revoke your permission.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not illegal to do it. It's only illegal in like certain, like, you know, federal building, courts, things like that. You know what I mean? But I don't know, just food for thought, I guess.
I mean, honestly, I think that Disney should be a weapons-free zone. I think they do a pretty good job with checkpoints, and I get your point in general about, you know, if some lunatic wants to start some shit, but I don't really see how a lunatic really gets in there at this point. Like the security is pretty tight.
Well, I mean, that's the problem is that, like, if you notice, like the recent attacks, like those ones over in Europe where they didn't give a shit about the checkpoints. They just rolled up and killed the people at the checkpoints. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just walk through and just like, I mean, what are you going to do then? You know what I mean? It's like, fuck.
I mean, part of me is like Disney's this magical place and there shouldn't even be a thought of violence.
I agree with that.
But
yeah.
I mean, just have like friggin', you know, Commando Mickey standing by the thing with a friggin' M60, man. Anybody starts some shit, he wastes them.
I'm sure they do have. I mean, I don't know about M60s, but I'm sure they have a pretty well trained staff in that underground,
like an anti-terrorist squad that would just like pop out of the service.
They probably do, tunnels. And they may not carry guns, but I bet one of them would just throw himself on you and take the bullet or whatever.
I'm sure they have to have guys that carry guns there, I'm sure. And I'm sure they have some sort of like armed response unit. They have to. There's no way. I mean, there's no way an operation of that size with that many people under their care would not. I mean, and if they don't, they're crazy.
I mean, not to mention Disney's all about liability. Like, what would happen to their future sales if they were just like given run of the park? No, they're definitely going to protect that.
Yeah, if they don't have their own units on premises, they must at least have like some, whatever the county is, like police presence, you know, out of sight, but there nevertheless. Because I mean, can you imagine like, hey, we've got a terror situation, and then the cops are like, the SWAT team's like riding the ferry across the lake, like,
yeah, right, yeah,
we'll be right there, just waiting for the boat to dock.
Oh God, exactly. And my last one is so I-4, which, as you know, is the like east-west corridor road that basically goes from the east coast and west coast of Florida in central Florida, and is actually the highway that you take when you go to Disney, has been named the most dangerous highway in the nation.
I believe it.
Not surprised at all.
I've been on it many times, and I 100% agree as well. I completely believe it.
Remember that a rail alternative to that most dangerous highway is a stupid and expensive waste of money.
Pipe dreams.
Yeah.
Even though we voted 3 times.
Yeah. And that brings me around to my last story, which is, last couple of stories. One, Microsoft is releasing their Windows VR headsets for $299. They revealed that today.
Who is?
Microsoft.
Whoa, nice.
Their Windows VR headsets are going to be $299.
Nice.
Yeah, with holographic capabilities.
Also nice.
Yeah, and we got to post this. Like, I wish I could share this video. It's fucking hilarious. So we've talked about this before. VR is awesome, but like, and we'll talk about it more when we get to our topic, but like, the big issue is like, what do you do when you're like standing around? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want to be like kicking your wall or like falling over something or whatever. This guy, there's a video on the internet, and we'll definitely post it in the show notes. But like, there's a guy at some event, and he's like playing. What the hell's the name of this game? It's called The Climb, right? It's by this company Crytek, where you're like basically climbing up the like side of a mountain essentially in VR. And he gets to this point where you like have to like, you get to like a little landing where you like shift up and you like lean forward so that you like, you put your belly on the landing so you like, can get to the next part or whatever. And he fucking just face plants like in real life. Like,
Wow.
He got so immersed in the game that he like leaned forward to like get up on the like the ledge, and he just fucking eats it face forward.
Wow.
That's kind of awesome. I mean, poor him, but
you have to watch the video. It's one of the funniest things I've seen in a long time.
That level of immersion, man.
Yeah. And that leads us into our topic, Tom. I'm done with the news, so why don't you take us away?
All right, I'll take us away to another world, to a virtual world, one we are so fond of visiting when looking to the future and the promise of VR. And, it always goes this way in life. Well, you're on your way to what you think is a better place, and then something just snaps you back to reality. You're like, wait a minute, no, this is going to be a long, hard road. We're just gonna escape into VR, man. We are gonna bring all the problems of the world with us, and
faceplant.
Yeah, and faceplant. Just faceplants are walk into the future. Really, what motivated this episode is a story. We unsurprisingly, we chat. Of the Nerd Extravaganza crew, and Chris, who is in charge of our video department, sent us a very interesting article. Well, I don't think that was the genesis of it, was it?
No, I posted the article.
Yeah. Okay. So Chris sent us one about the notion of crime in VR, which stemmed from you posting the one about a woman being sexually assaulted in virtual reality. And wow. I mean, I don't even know. At first I was like, what? And then as I read the article, I have like a whole basket of feelings about this, but it seems like it's perfect that it comes right on the heels of our conversation last week with our guest, Victoria, because she was talking about like just boorish behavior in conventions. Like people just don't know how to conduct themselves. Like, I'm in a convention, you're in a costume, I'm in a costume, I do what I want. Duh! Therefore, like, even though I was like shocked and appalled that these are going to be issues in VR, I probably shouldn't be, right? You've got probably people in VR behaving badly. You've got people in VR probably overreacting to behavior that could be considered just a nuisance. I mean, basically all of the problems in the real world are just immediately transferred into there. So there's no escaping it. Like right away, like you're going to log on to VR and you're going to see like a sign, like you're going into a convention. VR is not consent.
Right. Well, you can't expect it to be virtual reality without all the other shit that comes with reality. You know what I mean?
Can't I?
I guess that's the question, right?
Like in this article, they're playing this cool game where you're like blasting zombies and stuff, and like you want to grab a player's virtual breasts in that or whatever the hell supposedly happened. I mean, so on one hand, that's really irritating. On the other, then you have the victim, or should I say alleged victim? Is that the right way to put it, Cam? Who is saying that she's been traumatized by it, and then people react like, oh, come on, it's a game. But so I don't know how to feel about that, because if she has legitimate trauma from the real world, she's also bringing that into VR with her, right?
Well, I was thinking about it like, okay, so I was just trying to think of like real world parallels. So if I am on the phone with a woman, right, and I say to her, oh, I wish I could grab your breast right now. You know what I'm saying? Is that sexual assault? I don't know.
It doesn't happen as much anymore, but weren't the breathers like actually charged with a crime? Like,
Yeah, but I don't know that it was like sexual assault. It was probably like stalking or some kind of like harassment or whatever. You know what I mean? Like if you're not being touched, if you're not physically being touched, is it sexual assault? I guess would be my question. If I walk up to a girl and I go ew, ew, and I like fake like I'm like touching her breast, is that sexual assault? I don't know. So then can you call a virtual touch of someone else's virtual breast sexual assault?
Yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, I don't know either way. I mean, I don't know.
Like the line in the real world seems to be physical contact, right? I mean, sexual harassment would be making the tweaking motion or
Verbal.
Okay, verbal harassment. Okay, yeah. So like,
or like you said, yeah, the tweaking, whatever.
Yeah, noises or gestures or so on is one thing, but I think it would you're in much hotter water if you actually lay your hands on somebody versus like implying that you might like to. Not to say that making a honk honk motion or something, you know what I mean, like is acceptable behavior, but that's nowhere near as bad as like really assaulting somebody physically.
Yeah.
In my mind, what do you think, Brian?
I mean, I think it's a quibble. I think maybe it's a different label for the assault or for the attack, but it's still, I mean, it's still a violation.
Oh, for sure. Like if someone comes up to me and like fakes like they're gonna grab my boys, you know what I mean? That's still to me very different than if they come and actually cup them. You
actually
know what I'm
do
saying?
it, yeah.
Yeah. So like, and I'm not trying to be insensitive to women. I'm just taking it from a male perspective. That to me is different. I wouldn't be as upset or expect someone to go away to prison as long if they just faked like they were going to grab me or if they did actually grab me. You know what I'm saying? Like if they actually grab me, okay, jail time. If they fake like they're going to grab me, maybe probation. I'm not saying that should be the thing for whatever for women. I'm just saying from a male perspective, I feel like there is a line there.
Well, let's consider that line with regard to this story, and we'll link to it in our show notes. But the woman basically is, she's saying she's in real life, she actually has endured sexual assault, and then she's considering this a third assault. Mm-hmm. And according to the article, this is a CNN Money article that we're referencing. The assaulter heard that she was speaking and he heard it was a woman, so then he decided to act like a total douche, and was apparently, I mean, to kind of quote the article, was chasing her around, grabbing and pinching motions near her chest, and then shoved his hand towards her virtual crotch and began rubbing. Now, I can't read that without smirking a little because it just sounds absurd.
Now, this is an outrageous statement, but I'm not really joking. I'm like the opposite of Cam, because quite honestly, we should just remove that from the gene pool. Like, that's a broken toy.
The assaulter.
If you really think that's okay, I don't care what you call it. Let's just get rid of you. Let's just tie you up and throw you in jail forever and ever. You're irredeemable if you really think that's any way to treat a human being. Through a monitor, through VR goggles, in person, in costume. There's some deeply troubling issues there.
Right. I mean, this person almost seems like they're not mentally fit, to exist in society. I the broken toy kind of describes it, Brian. I'm not sure. I want to, I guess, hold people like this accountable, but how? It's like holding a dog accountable for pissing on something. I think I may have mentioned this last week when Victoria was on the show too. I mean, I
don't mean to be I don't know, cruel about this. You can't beat your dog, but you're pretty rough. You're pretty animalistic when you train your dog. I mean, a choke chain is the way to train a dog. You don't just oh, you shouldn't do that, puppy. Please don't do it again.
No, it's true. You kind of have to I mean, you really
So
have
you're right. I think they are animals, and we should probably put choke chains on them.
Well, so my notion of a choke chain would be, I mean, presumably you could record play sessions, but you catch them doing it, and then you just like ban them. Like, you don't get to play anymore. Goodbye. Or you.
Yeah, I mean, she could have, like, I'm sure there's got to be, just like Facebook, like you report, you can report the guy and then have him banned or have him, suspended for however long or whatever from the game.
Yeah, so the answer I was reading in this article and then in a subsequent article that came up seems to be we're really just going to live in our own bubbles. They are like putting like boundary bubbles in games that just don't let other players get close enough to you to like honk your virtual breasts. Which seems like the wrong answer, I guess, but maybe is the only answer. I mean, since they obviously cannot ban these people.
Why not?
I don't know if they have the forensics available. Like, oh yeah, this guy is like grabbing my, like, okay, if it was EverQuest, right? And not that they had the polygons for this, but that behavior was going on. A GM could log in and witness the behavior. I don't know if that's possible in these VR settings or not.
I mean, I have no evidence or anything like that, but I'm sure there's pictures of whoever was logged into that terminal at that time. Like in this, I mean, not a police state. There's no way they don't know who it was. Look at like who charged the fee for that time or something. They know what terminal it came from. Jesus Christ, ask the guy who was manning that terminal, like.
Well, let me ask you this. So we've all played first-person shooters, PvP, right?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm sure we've all been teabagged.
Yes.
Right? So how does that relate in terms of this type of scenario? I mean, the guy put his virtual junk on my head. You know what I mean? On my virtual head. Is that sexual assault?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it is really.
I think it will be when it's in VR and the guy actually has to squat down to do it and everything too. Like, I get your point, but I don't know. It's still douche behavior, no matter what,
Oh, for sure, it's douche behavior, and it fucking hacked me off. But like, I mean, I was like, you just get back in the game and you fucking kill him. You know what I mean? In the game, like, it's just, I don't know.
Well,
I think actually you bringing up PvP and Tom bringing up safety bubbles, that might be like kind of an answer, because a lot of games, you can choose. Like a lot of people call it being a Care Bear or whatever. Like, I want to interact on this level or not. And I mean, Second Life, you can actually like murder avatars, and people like, yeah, I want to be murdered or I don't want to be murdered. Maybe that's. I mean, I certainly would not want a forced bubble to like interfere with the technology where you can't interact, because I think that's most of the appeal, is being able to actually interact with all these people. But when they get like assholes like that, maybe you switch that off.
Well, so you bringing up the Care Bear versus like, anything goes way of thinking, Brian. I was thinking about that before the episode. If you opt in to just like no holds barred, that's one thing. But if you're playing a zombie shooting game and some guy's trying to feel up your avatar, and you did not sign up for that, I think you do have a grievance. So that, yeah, I think there need to be settings.
Yeah, well, I mean, like in Ready Player One, what is it, the VertNet, right? They have those like planets or zones where like it's like a no combat zone or a no touching zone, where even if you tried to touch someone, your hand would like stop. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like, if you don't want to like have any unwanted touching or virtual touching or any unwanted contact or whatever, you just stay in those zones. If you wanna, jump into a no holds barred fight or whatever, or have that enabled, then you go to a zone where that's allowed. I think that would be
I'm
a
still
pretty
all for the opposite. Like, we can just build in Australia and put the semi-rapist there.
good.
I mean, I'm fine with banishing them too. But Cam, you're going to have this. Look, don't go into this zone if you don't want this kind of behavior because it's a free play zone. And then you're going to have like the counter argument. Don't blame the victim. Just because I'm in the touchy rapey zone. You know what I mean? Like, not to make light of the real world notion that women aren't allowed to walk certain places, but that's essentially what we would be setting up. Like, these are places you can't go to because the people there will assault you. You know what I mean? Like, we have to cordon off zones for bad behavior, I guess.
I mean, on the one hand, there are sketchy areas in reality. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's reality, right? It's virtual reality. So it makes sense that there's going to be bad areas that you might want to avoid.
Yeah, like I would not want my fiance walking in like Overtown in the middle of the night. You know what I'm saying? So it's like
right.
It'd be the same thing and be like, listen, if you don't, again, like you said, Tom, I mean, we're not blaming the victim. It's not anyone's fault ever.
Right. Still punish the guy for doing it.
Right. But like, you got to be smart about it. You know what I mean? Like, I as a male, I wouldn't walk in Overtown in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, you just sort of got to be smart about your surroundings. You can't just walk through life and expect that nothing's going to happen to you. You got to have some common sense.
But now, see, Cam, to take the opposite point of view, you're blaming the victim. Why shouldn't I be able to walk through Overtown in the middle of the night? And
look, you can do it all you want, but I ain't going to help you out.
I bitch about the social contract pretty often, and I think this is just a new version of the social contract. Once upon a time, you couldn't walk down the street without being shot or mugged or whatever. In some areas, that still may be true, but what happened was, I mean, we civilized a lot of area by punishing these people.
Yeah, so we
didn't just get here because everybody just decided it was wrong. We got here by like making people understand it was wrong.
And now that we have that understanding, we can carry that understanding forward into these new realms, can't we? We don't have to like have another Wild West, do we?
We do not have that understanding online.
But we need to.
We need to. I mean, I know it's been romanticized for years, but the internet is the Wild West, and it's not okay to go places and say these things about people, and even people like that disagree with you on an argument, like someone on a message board, like, oh, I disagree with you. Yeah, well, fuck your mother. Blah, blah, blah. Like, you got issues, dude. That's not how you talk to people.
Yeah.
And I know you wouldn't talk that way in person because he'd punch you in the nose.
No. Yeah. Be right. You're right. The internet enable
the safety, that little protective bubble you get makes you feel safe, and you think you can get away with everything. At some point, it's going to have to come down to like, no, you can't get away with everything.
Yeah, the lack of consequences has to go away. Really, I'm just not sure how you do that without. God, I don't know. I actually would rather exist in the 4chan of virtual reality. As disgusting as it is, I like seeing the vile side of humanity because it like actually like reminds me like of the extremes. You know what I mean? Not, I don't condone it, but like I don't know. What does it give me a sense of superiority or something, or does it just?
It's like watching cops. It makes you feel better about yourself.
Maybe, yeah.
That's your choice. I mean, if you want to, wallow. I'm not sure I know why.
It's not really wallowing for me. Like, I feel kind of detached from it. Like, I go and I see this vile. I don't go to 4chan as much as I used to, but I go and I see this vile crap, and I'm just like, it amuses me, not because I find the people's like disgusting or disparaging remarks amusing, but I find it amusing that people will sink to such lows. Like, it reminds me of like people's just animal-like tendencies, and I laugh at that. I've always found that amusing. It's why I find the chick tracts amusing. They're awful. They're terrible. But the idea that there's like a broken thought process behind it that results in that, I just find incredibly amusing. Like someone really thought there's an alliance of like communist Chinese guys and Halloween witches that want to take away Jack Chick's religion. Like, I don't know.
As a quick aside, no one ever thought that. That was pure brainwashing and manipulation.
Well, Jack Chick thought it. Like his.
No, he was doing that on purpose. He died a billionaire. he died a millionaire.
Okay, but
because of hatred. I mean, that's not like he legitimately believed that D&D was going to make you a spellcaster.
But he was trying to get other people to legitimately believe that with his propaganda, wasn't he? Or at least enough to buy
brainwashing people. Yes. But I'm almost sorry to say this, but I mean, would you do that in reality, Tom? Would you just stand there and watch some kid get bullied?
No.
Oh, why do it virtual? Whoever is on the other side of that is going through the same thing.
Let me I feel like I need to qualify the things I've said. I'm not saying I would like to go into a place where kids are bullied and that. I'm saying I could go in and be subjected to the bullying and the trash talking because I feel detached enough that it wouldn't bother me. I do think there should be a space where that stuff's not allowed so that kids and people who are sensitive don't have to deal with it. And I guess it gets me back around to my original question. We have to accept the fact that means not everybody can or should go there. Like there are parts of the virtual universe we're building that you're not going to be able to go to if you cannot take awful behavior.
As long as there are repercussions, I'm all for that because there are some biker bars around here I wouldn't go to. And if I went to, I probably wouldn't stay long. I would be made to feel uncomfortable and I would probably not want to stay there. So I would leave. But if any of them like laid hands on me or anything, like they should still be subject to correction.
True. Oh, so
I may not be comfortable there. I may not belong there, but I should be allowed there.
So that would go for the virtual Australia you proposed to. Like it's a place for the criminals and thugs, but then if you go there, there's still a law enforcement kind of agency or something. You mean, or
I would make that like honestly a penal colony. Like no rational person would want to go there. Like maybe we could have like Jurassic Park tours.
I think people would want to go there. I think people that just want to treat each other shittily would go. And I would go.
They probably belong in prison. I mean,
I would go out of morbid curiosity, but I wouldn't necessarily partake in the bad behavior. I would observe. Anyway, I'm not sure I'm making sense. Is what I'm saying making sense at all, or do I?
I mean, I'm not sure you're getting what you mean across, but it's making sense. I mean.
What do you think, Cam? Like, I'm not necessarily against a penal colony for ne'er-do-wells existing online and being allowed to exist, as long as it's known that that's what it is.
I have sort of a laissez-faire attitude. I mean, you know, I'm all for individual rights. I mean, if it's not hurting someone else, then whatever, dude, have fun, you know? So if those people are fine with it and they're fine with doing, you know, whatever, then let them do it, you know? But I also think that someone doesn't need to be subjected to that if they don't want to. So there should be some kind of system in place so that if they don't want to be subjected to that kind of thing, they can either avoid it or, you know, like you were sort of saying, oh, well, then if we have these zones where people are going to get upset because they can't go, well, then maybe you give them that option of putting on that little bubble around themselves where they don't see it or touch it or whatever, or get touched. But then, you know, then that sort of brings up, well, then they can't really participate in like a PvP fight or something like that if that's an available option. But then that's fine. So then they just know that, okay, well, if I have my bubble on, then I can't level up by fighting or something like that. You know what I mean? I just feel like there should be options for everybody.
I think the experiment does exist. I mean, it's virtual reality versus the internet, but I mean, how many feminists hang out on 4chan? They could.
Yeah.
Um. Well, now that I don't think you would say. I don't think the term there would be feminist. I think people who want to play the victim might hang out somewhere like that, or might, you know what I mean, in a place where they're known to be attacked. But I wouldn't call those people necessarily like feminists. Did you? Does that make sense at all? I think there's a segment of people they want to.
I mean,
They,
there are professional victims, but I don't
right.
mean that. I mean, like, how many people hang out at 4chan trying to, like, save people?
No, I know.
We'll change it up. We won't make it feminist. How many, like, Christian missionaries hang out on 4chan?
No, you're right. I mean, I'm probably the closest thing to a Christian missionary on 4chan, and I'm just a lurker. And I say I'm the closest thing in that I don't participate. I just like go there. I don't even go there. It's been probably a couple of years.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Like, I respect everyone's opinion. If you are a Christian fundamentalist, awesome. If you are a Satanist, fine. That's whatever you want to be. That's fine. But just don't put your shit on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't try to change my mind about something. And so I sort of see it that way. Like, if you like to make dirty jokes and you like to make racist jokes, or you like to do this or that or whatever, that's fine. There is a place for you to go and do that, and you can do that and with your friends or whatever, and that whatever. Go with God, But don't like infringe on someone that doesn't like that by making tune in fucking Tokyo signs on their breasts or grabbing their crotch or whatever. And don't put that on them. But on the same token, I also think that people that don't want their virtual crotch rubbed or breast touched or whatever, like you said, you should just have common sense. Okay, if I go to 4chan, this is what I'm going to see. If I go to a biker bar, this is probably what I'm going to get. If I go here, I go there, that's what's going to happen. So I'm all about personal responsibility, man. You gotta have some common sense in your life and understand that, like, yeah, okay, maybe I can't go to a biker bar, or maybe you can go to a biker bar, but if you go there, you're going to get a certain response. You know what I'm saying? If I walk up to someone,
don't try to change them.
Yeah, don't try to
bring
change
black eyes for everybody.
Right. Yeah, exactly. If I go up to someone and I do something to them, you got to expect a response. Or so personal responsibility, man. That's what I'm all about.
Couldn't agree more. And along those lines, I want to ask this: at what point does virtual reality become a place that we occupy so much and for so many reasons that we actually have to have like real consequences? Like, not you're banned from the server, like you've committed a crime. Like, can you commit a crime? I'm talking about one that doesn't have real world repercussions, not one where like you're draining somebody's real world bank account. A crime solely impacting the virtual world. Is there such a thing in your opinion?
Well, yeah, I mean, there already are laws like, against that, like cyber stalking and cyber bullying and all that stuff, that kind of thing. And I agree with those laws. I mean, look, like I said, I'm not saying that guy, virtually rubbing boobs or crotches or whatever is not committing a crime or shouldn't be held accountable for committing a crime. My point was just that I don't know that necessarily translates into the same. If he would have done that in real life, I don't know that necessarily translates to the same crime. You know what I mean? So I think you got to sort of take it with a grain of salt. That, okay, so I'm not saying, lady in the article, that you weren't sexually assaulted. I'm not saying that at all. I mean, I think sexual assault it's what sort of the person defines it as in their mind. I mean, if she felt that way, then who am I to say that she wasn't? But at the same time, you have to have a uniform set of rules and laws to apply to everybody. And so if she, and I'm not saying she is, but I mean, if she's implying that person should now be jailed or arrested for the same crime that basically the same type of crime that it would be if that person did that to her in the real world, I don't agree with that. But I do agree that there should be laws in place to guard against that type of behavior.
I'll agree with lesser crime because there was not like physical contact, like he did no physical damage to her. I would agree with lesser crime.
Yeah.
But absolutely still a crime, yeah.
So, okay, what does the worst possible crime you can commit in virtual reality translate into in real life? Like somebody murders your avatar in virtual reality. Like, you're traumatized by that. Maybe you even have psychological damage, but like you take off your goggles and you're okay.
I think the worst would be like, kiddie porn or something like that, obviously. Like some kind of shit like that. But I mean, aside from that, I don't know about killing an avatar.
Well, I mean, kiddie porn, distributing, illicit images of children, those are real people who've been victimized, presumably, right? So regardless of whether you're distributing or viewing that in VR or anywhere else, I still think there's a real world impact.
Well, no, I think I personally think that because things are getting so good, I actually don't even know, but I know there was like a landmark case that basically like cartoons don't apply. Like it was some kind of hentai case or whatever.
Oh, like depictions?
Like,
okay.
Yeah, like depictions of
there's no victim.
So it doesn't matter if it's a cartoon. I think you get away with it. But now that it's getting to like a virtual world, so like if you go on there, right, and like your virtual avatar is a child, like that's the other thing too, is that now like, and this is in real life too, like this started back like with like CompuServe and like AOL. If you're talking to someone on the other end and they're a kid, there should be ways to get those people, because like you can't sit there and talk and do things to a kid that you would be able to do to an adult. And
that's true. That's okay. That's true. But again, the crime there is impacting a child in the real world.
Right.
I agree totally that anything that hurts someone in the real world has real world consequences. But, sorry, Brian, you were going to say?
No, I was going to say I can't imagine if you're including the user as real world. Like I can't imagine anything not affecting. I mean, maybe you stole my, generated rifle in Call of Duty or something. That doesn't affect anything. But
well, I mean,
not much of a crime either, really. I mean, you can just generate a new one.
What was the real world impact of some weirdo chasing the woman who complained in that article around and trying to touch her fake breasts, or her fake breasts, her virtual breasts and her crotch? What was the real? She took her goggles off and she was disturbed by that because of she's had real trauma, and that was what do they call it? Triggering. But like, what crime did that person commit if we were going to consider that a crime, other than like what?
I mean, I don't think you can inflict mental hardship on anyone and just say, "Oh, I didn't touch you." I mean,
well,
that's bullying at the fucking least.
Yeah, no, that's. I mean, I guess that's maybe. I guess what I'm driving at is maybe they're not. Maybe they're inseparable. Like maybe at a certain point, when you're even when you're causing psychological anguish to a person in real life, like anything happening in there does resonate in the real world. There is no true separation.
Cam's little piece of news could not have been more well planned. Virtual reality is really fucking immersive. Mm-hmm. And I don't know psychologically if you would even separate it. I mean, and you were saying earlier, like, oh, what happens if your avatar is murdered? I mean, I can really see, like, people. I hate to say this because it used to mean something, but I can see people being traumatized by like a graphic murder.
Right. Well, I mean, I think that's where you got to now figure out where the line comes between like a criminal act and a civil act, like a civil violation. Because like, okay, is killing someone's virtual avatar a criminal act, like, or is it just a civil act? Because maybe they had like a whole bunch of loot and items and stuff that now go away, and that has a monetary value, and so maybe you can sue them, right? And get I guess the virtual currency back, or maybe it'll be Bitcoin or real world money or whatever like that. But would that rise to a level of a crime? I don't know. This woman that got harassed online, certainly it would be a civil crime because you've like triggered her, or you've like brought back this, you know, emotional distress or whatever of her previous, experiences where she was assaulted in real life. And in the civil world, there's this thing called the eggshell skull doctrine, where like you have to take the victim as they are. It's like, if I went and punched Brian in the face, Brian will probably just take it and no big deal. You know what I mean? But if like I punched someone else in the face that had like what's like anemia or you know, that weird disease where your bones are super brittle, you know,
right.
I just like shattered their skull and they died. Well, like it wouldn't, you can't give a defense that like, well, I didn't punch him that hard. If it would have been any normal person, they would have just shook it off. It doesn't matter. That person is who they were, and you did that to them. So you have to, you get whatever negative effects happen, you're liable for. And so that's going to cause like a big, you know, I mean, that could cause a big problem.
You're liable for the effects of your actions in the case at hand, not for like what the effects would be on your average Joe, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
You take the person as they are, basically. If they have an eggshell skull, well, then they have an eggshell skull. That's why it's called the eggshell skull doctrine, and you're liable for it.
Should have thought about that before you took the action of punching somebody.
100% right. Exactly.
Okay. I see. So maybe that's a good standard for behavior in the virtual world. You don't know that the person whose, you know, virtual body parts you're groping isn't a person who's been sexually assaulted in real life. And
yeah, and that's exactly the situation. That person that did that, I'm sure, didn't know that she had been sexually assaulted in real life, but she had. And so now whatever negative effects you inflicted on her, you have to accept, because, you know, maybe she, you know, got triggered a lot more, you know, maybe she suffered a lot more than someone who wasn't sexually assaulted would have, but that doesn't matter. I mean, the fact is she was sexually assaulted, and now you have to take it as it is.
Yeah. You know, that makes a lot of sense, Cam, because I'm imagining like if it was me, if I had a female avatar and some idiot was doing that to me, I'd be like, oh my God, this guy. But, you know, I don't have the experience of that happening to me in real life to like really freak out about, you know?
Yep.
Wow. Okay. So at least there is sounds like we at least kind of grappled with, well, two things. One, that you need to conduct yourself online because you never know who you're online and in virtual reality, as though the person you're dealing with is sensitive to your actions, which is probably a good way to live anyway.
Yep.
And two, I don't think you can necessarily draw a firm line between virtual reality and non-virtual reality when it comes to the impact on people, because ultimately there's a person in the real world.
Yeah. And you know, like we were talking about, like Tom, like you sort of said that, well, they don't have the technology to sort of monitor that. I mean, it's just like real life, right? And I feel like it's the opposite. In the virtual world, there probably are a lot more better tools and a lot more, I guess, there's a lot more of a potential to be able to catch these kinds of things, because, like, let's be honest, in the real world, most crime isn't caught anyway. You know, like if I'm walking down the street and some girl's there and I just grab her boob and start running, chances are, unless there's a cop like right around the corner, I'm not going to get busted. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't know who I am. She doesn't, you know, she has no idea who I am, and I'll probably get away. Whereas in the virtual world, pretty much everything you do is recorded in some manner or other, you know? And if someone really wanted to set up systems in place to look out for that, I mean, you're going to get busted. It's just a matter of who is going to take the initiative, because now you're dealing with issues of, you have 50 states, you have the federal government, you have people that are out of the country, so you've got all kinds of jurisdictional issues. Who's going to be the police of the internet, basically, and who's going to monitor that, and who's going to make sure that people that do stupid shit like that are going to get brought to justice? That, I think, is the biggest nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll say that forensics will get a lot easier, because you'll be able to like find the system state, you know, at that time and play it all back. But as far as who the authority is, yeah, is it the people? Is it the companies running the systems? Is there a cyber czar, you know, ruling on behalf of all of us? You know, who? That's a really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's going to have to be the federal government, because there's no way that the states can do it. I mean, and plus, pretty much everything you do online implicates the federal law, because even though we're all in Florida right now and we're talking, our signals are being bounced through ISPs through all different states, I'm sure. You know what I mean? Or like, you know,
around the world. Yeah.
Yeah, around the world. You know what I mean? So that automatically implicates the federal government to have jurisdiction because it's across state lines, basically. So I think the federal government's going to have to step in and do something. But then that triggers, well, oh, like you said, Brian, Big Brother. Is Big Brother watching everything? What happens to personal rights of privacy, et cetera?
I mean, you guys know I think we're already there, so.
Oh, for sure, yeah. For sure. Privacy is a lost concept.
Yeah, well, I've mentioned this before. We could have a whole different episode about this. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because once nobody has privacy, we all realize that none of us is really hiding anything that important in the first place. And I think we could all be a lot more honest with each other.
And you know what? I'll kind of end on a joke. I don't want to out myself, but I guess I will. I don't know why on earth I get so many fucking Trump ads online. There is zero chance in fuck I will vote for him. Like, how do you not know that, internet? So I've actually started Googling. Every time I get one, I just talk to Google. Google, what the hell are you doing? You know I'm not doing this. You're wasting your advertisers' money. Google, what are you doing? Just so they can have my my search history.
I don't. It's fine. I don't get that. Like I feel like I get an equal amount of both. Like I get Hillary ads and I get Trump ads, but I've been getting a lot more like mailings from Trump and like phone calls. Like at least like 5 or 6 times I picked up the phone and I hear, "I'm Donald Trump. Vote for me."
I
like,
actually haven't answered my phone in like 3 weeks.
Oh my God. Early on in the campaign, when he decided to stop self-funding and was going over to fundraising, it would always, God, I learned it by heart. The Trump campaign would call, pick up, "I will make America." I'm like, oh God, not again. And I would like hang up. But basically, I listened to it one time and it was like, okay, now Donald's gotten this far, but he's not going to self-fund anymore.
Oh man. Well, we'll see.
Hillary never called me. I'm no party affiliation. I'm an independent, so I don't know why I'm not getting both calls.